To me, there's always been something very satisfying about exercise that incorporates an element of locomotion, movement. I find that squatting on the spot, doing air squats, it can be a very effective way, even just with body weight, to build strength and size in the legs and strength endurance, because you've got to go those higher rep ranges. However, it is boring as you like, compared with squatting down low and walking in that position, squat walking, which somehow just makes the whole thing that much more interesting and that much more bearable. So we've actually got a bunch of different squat walks, each one being extremely useful. So what you can do is to squat down to roughly parallel, so your thighs are parallel with the ground, knees about 90 degrees, and then just hold that position and walk along. This, of course, is a static hold, really, an isometric contraction that's keeping you at that level. You're going to feel a quick build-up of metabolic stress as you do this for longer distances. It's one of the easier ones to go for further, but that, of course, makes it more fun in some ways. And it's just a great option for building that strength endurance that then translates to being able to perform for longer periods of time with your legs. At the same time, it's great for gently building joint strength, as long as you don't have any pre-existing conditions, and of course, you shouldn't train through pain. Another option is to squat extremely low, like I am now, into a resting squat, and then walk forwards like so. And of course, that one's more for your mobility. It's going to open up the hips really nicely, just get you comfortable in this position, and you want to really focus on trying to keep the torso straight and upright as you go. It's great for stability. Got options like moving sideways, lateral squat walks, and when you do this, you're opening up the hips far more in the frontal plane. We don't train nearly enough in the frontal plane. This is excellent for strengthening the hip adductors and abductors, abductors being apart, adductors being together. It's great for opening them up and giving you more mobility. We often lack mobility in this area due to not training, due to our lifestyles. So this is going to be a really good option. And then, of course, you can mix and match these. You can move in a whole range of different dynamic directions. You can move forwards, laterally, side to side, round and round. Really mix it up and get some great results that way. Then another option is to squat as you walk. So you're going to squat down each step and then squat back up. It's a pulsing squat walk, if you like. And what this is doing, of course, is training that glute strength for a full range of motion. So when you're doing it this way, you're going to feel that burn a lot quicker. It's a lot better for building max strength. And you're going to be kind of pushing more off of one leg than the other each time, because your leg's going to be in a more staggered position.
This is good because it again means each squat is different and more closely mimics the way we squat when we don't take the time to set up nicely first. It's a little like a walking lunge, but the legs remain closer together. This style of squat is also brilliant for strength and size. You'll find you have a longer time under tension than with air squats as you spend more time in that lower position. Training strength endurance for the legs is really important. It means not just having the strength to perform a movement once, but rather being able to continually perform that movement for time, which is what you need to do whether you're in a competition or doing something useful around the house, you name it. And again, I just find because you're actually moving when you're doing this, even those higher rep ranges become much more tolerable, and you'll find that as a result, you're able to do that much more.
And what you find right away then is that means you can kind of just automatically do more reps because you're not thinking about it, just standing there monotonously repeating the same movement, and you can focus on a goal or just the scenery going by. It makes it that much easier to do higher repetitions. And it's also just because this is like a more natural movement. Just squatting, of course, is a highly natural movement. I've talked about it a whole load. The resting squat is a really important move. And we use squatting in our amortization phase when we're doing a vertical jump, for example. But actually, when you think about it, how often do you really stop and squat with your feet exactly in line, your feet, pointing forwards or just a little bit apart, shoulder width apart, all that? If you're squatting down to pick something up, or if you're squatting underneath something, you're always going to do it with your legs in a slightly staggered stance or with one leg slightly more internally or externally rotated. You need to be strong in all these different positions. And the very fact that you're moving, and especially if you're moving along uneven terrain, as I am here, means that you get all those additional angles and all that additional benefit as well. It's far more cognitively engaging. It's a far more open skill. It's much more dynamic. It's repetition without repetition. This basically falls more in line with ecological training. Ecological training is an approach to training that, instead of looking at just strengthening certain muscles, instead looks at the organism, the environment, and the goals. So what environment are you in? What goal are you trying to accomplish? And what are your specific restrictions in terms of your biomechanics, limb length and proportions, tiredness, that kind of thing. And then you look for affordances in your environment, opportunities to move, whether that's a hill or an open space like this, and then you just go. And this kind of training, in theory, leads to better learning, better adaptation. So from a functional standpoint, squat walking really low is a really great option. And keep in mind that these aren't just hypotheticals. I'm not just talking like you might one day need to squat low and move around. You actually move low an awful lot in a variety of situations, whether you're playing with kids. You move low in martial arts a lot, especially grappling styles, but all styles. You move low in a whole bunch of sports. Cutting and changing direction is often done low to the ground. Of course, if you're in the military, moving low is important. Moving low is useful for stealth in general, moving quietly wherever you want to go. And you know me, I just like to have these options available to me. So moving low shouldn't really be the novelty, the exception. Moving low should be something that we all do more regularly than just repeating the same movement on the spot. And in many ways, it's a primal movement. We would have done this kind of movement far more, when we were hunter-gatherers. And also we see animals in the animal kingdom moving low all the time, usually with their legs slightly flexed. Now, of course, getting into a low position and squat walking around like this is a fantastic warm-up, a great way to lubricate the joints, the hip sockets, and all those different dynamic planes of motion. At the same time, it's also great just as a mobility routine in itself. But I also don't want you to get it twisted. We can also use a range of variations here to build actual size and strength. So let's say you want to build strength, and the great way to do this is by doing drills of 1 minute, sets of 1 minute with a 1 to 2 minute rest in between, depending on your goals and depending on your fitness levels. If you can't do a minute, 30 seconds is fine. And if a minute is easy, then you can go up to something higher, of course. But if you're doing this with those pulsing squats, the up and down ones, and you can do 3 sets of a minute, I'll be very impressed, because this actually is pretty tricky even for someone with a decent squat. Thing is, compared with regular air squats, there's much more time under tension. You're spending more time in the lower positions in the squat, and as a result, you're going to get a lot tired, a lot more fatigued, a lot more quickly, do a lot more damage a lot more quickly, and this just makes it a really efficient way to train. But if you want to build mobility, then of course choose the lower squat position or the lateral one, and you'll have a similar effect doing a minute at a time. It's also a fantastic warm-up. If you do this at the start of a workout, you're going to lubricate and loosen up those joints, the hip sockets, and all those different dynamic planes of motion, not just up and down, which is going to make you far more resilient against injury. And because you're moving, you're not just going to be limber and loose and increase your chances of injury. This is a great weighted stretch effectively because you're using your own body weight. And then, of course, as you want to make it more difficult, you can then do it on varied terrain. Like I say, up or downhill is brilliant and completely changes the activation of the muscles. You can, of course, just grab a heavy weight, which is brilliant, or even do it along some kind of beam and turn it into a balance challenge. You can progress this by going further, by going faster, by carrying more, just whatever you want to do, by going deeper. Depends on your goals. There's so many options. We don't need to be limited in the way we train our legs. And of course, if you want to get the very most benefit from squat walking across varied terrain, then you're going to want to wear the right footwear. And of course, I'm going to recommend minimal footwear. That's barefoot shoes from the likes of today's sponsors, Vivo Barefoot. So Vivo Barefoot make minimal shoes. That means they're shoes that get out of the way and allow your foot to work the way it's supposed to, your ankle, your leg. They do this with a very thin sole so that you can feel the ground underneath your feet and respond to that through the proprioceptive feedback. They do it by not, surrounding your ankle with over-the-top ankle support, even their boots. And this is important because that ankle support actually just restricts your ankle movement, and it means you're never strengthening it in any of those different positions. And at the same time, because they have no heel on the bottom, no raised heel, it's a flat foot, this means that you're getting deep into that squat position. Welcome to Squat Island. Otherwise, your heel's elevated. You're not in the deepest position of the squat. And I like Vivo Barefoot in particular because they have such a great range of stylish shoes. They're also extremely comfortable and very well made. They last for a long, long time. And this is all important because if you really want to integrate barefoot shoes into your lifestyle, you need shoes that don't look crazy. I actually get compliments when I'm wearing Vivo Barefoot shoes. So yeah, if you want to support them and me, then use their code BIONEER20 at checkout and you'll get 20% off a pair of Vivos. Use my link in the description down below. Thanks for that, either way, and a huge thank you to Vivo Barefoot once again for sponsoring this channel. Now on with the show. So there you go, guys. That's how you can start implementing squat walking into your routine, start using it in your training. It's why I like it so much. Let me know in the comments, is this something you're going to start doing? Is it something you already did? I personally think that this just reconnects us with the wild and gets us moving in a far more dynamic and varied range of motion. And to me, that's a no-brainer, because I don't think we should just squat up and down. That's not all our bodies are designed to do. If you like this kind of training that explores different ideas and modalities and planes of motion, you might like my ebook and training program, Super Functional Training 2.0, designed to be a simple program that incorporates all this stuff from various different types of training, trains strength, mobility, endurance, all at the same time, because we need all of it. Link in the description down below. But either way, thank you so much for watching this one, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.